So there's three seeds that I've developed: composure, clarity, and control. And it's just so awesome because each thing builds on the next thing. So number one, the best thing I can give my uh women is clarity.
Caring for others is part of your life, but it's not all of it. This is your space for growth, confidence, and connection to the whole you. Welcome to the DaliTalks podcast. Welcome back to the DaliTalks podcast. My guest today is Nicole Bright. She is a phenomenal strategic decision advisor during divorce. Nicole, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Me too. We had our initial conversation. I was really excited because, of course, like I shared before, I went through a divorce and it opened my eyes to so many subcategories of services that exist. And I'm just really impressed by what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up becoming this strategic decision advisor during divorce?
Oh my gosh, what a story. I'm gonna try to condense it as much as possible. But first of all, no one does this without having the experience of living it, basically. And after 17 years of marriage, I was divorced. And not only that, I'll never forget March the 20th, getting a call that just destroyed the life I had. Um, just blew up my life, I guess I would say. And within a month, April 19th, I was out of the marital home. Took nothing with me, but very minimum things. But the biggest thing I took was my peace. The biggest thing I took. And during that time, I needed someone. And so what I essentially became is the person that I needed. And I didn't even realize it because at that point in my life, I had been a stay-at-home mom for a while, just picking up a job here and there. And before all that happened, about 8 months, I had just actually picked up a job. And so that allowed me to even leave that situation. But I had started coaching. So I was coaching the area, I was coaching women that were married, to trying to balance all their things in life. Since I was a married woman, I felt like, oh, we get overlooked. I just need to help, married women. And then when I became divorced, I didn't get any clients through that. So I took my time and I did my work. But like I tell people, when you have a calling, it's in you. And I just readjusted the calling and I became a divorce coach. And so I was a divorce coach from, I guess, 21 until recently. And then I switched over to the advising because I wanted to work in a different area with the women in particular. So I'm just excited to even work in this new area that gives me more intention. It gives me more authority and we strategize more. And I just I just have a new refined calling, I guess, a new niche that I'm working in. I'm really excited because I've just really seen a need for it. Not that I don't love what I was doing in coaching, but this is just a new form of doing something to help the women. Because like I said, I really needed this. And I really don't think people even know that it exists. Like you said, there's a lot of layers of divorce.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's a lot of people that don't know about it. So when I meet people who are going through the process or even thinking about having to get a divorce, I always tell them, like, hey, by the way, there's this and this and this and this. In your situation, what type of certifications did you have to get to become a coach first and then do what you're doing now?
So what I did is actually I coached for years without anything, to be honest. And then when I wanted to reach more people, I went and took classes and got certified to be a coach. And then you have to pick your niche within that. And since my heart was saying divorce, that's what I did within the coaching. But I could coach in any area, but I chose to specialize in this because that's where my heart was taking me. And with the advising, I just basically just did so much data to figure out what women needed because I felt like it was something missing within my practice. And I really realize, especially professional women, they're looking to stay in control of things. They don't want things to fall apart. And they already feel like everyone's looking. So I really provide privacy, and no one needs to even know that, you're working with me. And so that's what I did. I just kind of did a lot of data research. I talked to a lot of women to figure out what the needs were. And that's how I really adjusted to what I'm doing now.
Yeah, that's one thing I want people to understand is the coaching certification process. Like you said, that you can coach in other areas, but you chose to specialize. To me, that's really important because when I seek out help for something as delicate as divorce, I
Yeah.
want number one, somebody who understands what it's like, and you definitely understand because unfortunately it did happen to you. Um,
Right.
and so you have that lived experience. And two is, that expertise. And I love that you already had the coaching experience prior to getting certified, which some people might frown upon that, but I think everybody's different. And some people are really, really good who have never been certified,
Mm.
because you can educate yourself without getting the certificate. It's just
Right.
like you can be extremely smart person and have never gone to college, just
Right.
because you have that piece of paper doesn't mean you're smart. Because I've met a lot of dumb PhDs and MDs. Like, my
Yeah.
goodness, are you sure you went to college?
No earthly good. Their heads up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many of them. So
Uh,
I always stress and I always tell this to my kids. It's like, don't ever oppose somebody just because they have this fancy degree or title or whatever. It's like, go based on their expertise and the history and their experience. So Nicole, now that you're doing this strategic decision advisor service, tell us a little bit about what does that really entail?
So there's three seeds that I've developed: composure, clarity, and control. And it's just so awesome because each thing builds on the next thing. So number one, the best thing I can give my uh women is clarity. I can't give it to them, but I can walk with them so they can get it. Because when you are first done with the situation, you're all over the place and you can't see. And so the emotions are leading you, and you don't have logic. But remember, when you file for divorce, because that's usually the women I get right after they file for divorce. When you file for divorce, you have a reason, right? Usually you have lots of reasons, right? And so what I do is I create grounding statements within those reasons because you have that reason, but then you say, well, maybe I should have stayed longer. Or maybe I did this wrong or that wrong. Or, you have all these questions. Even though you've made that decision, you still go in your mind a million times back and forth. So, what I try to create is some stability within that decision, that initial decision to leave. So, I always take them back like, okay, so why did you leave? Let's talk about this. Let's dissect this. Let's figure it out so we can make some statements within our mind because once those statements come in your mind that are contrary to what you're doing, sometimes we feed into them and we make this whole world. Our brain makes up stuff, right? Scenarios and no 1 ounce of truth. So I want to get to that woman's truth and I want to make some grounding statements. And so when those thoughts come, you can replace them. So the more you do this, the more you practice this, it is truth, but it becomes real truth, if you know what I mean. It becomes stability in your life. And so that's what I want. I want stability, I want clarity. And at the end, you get control because we know I have a 12-week program, right? But we know after 12 weeks, you're not magically okay, but you have a roadmap and you know the things to do when things come up. That's what strategic is all about, like knowing what to do when those things happen, because sometimes we can foresee things. Knowing your triggers, we talk about knowing your triggers. Sometimes just his voice is a trigger, So what do? Seriously, knowing your triggers. Sometimes my trigger was when he would say to me, calm down. Whew, that was a trigger. Cause I'm like, wait a minute, don't tell me how to feel. Don't tell me what to do. So we talk about why is that a trigger? What can we do to combat that before he even says it? Because you know that's a trigger. So those kind of things, it's so much I could talk about, but those kind of things, because I know those kind of things when he used to say, calm down, like, oh, okay. I'm not your wife anymore. So,
Yeah.
it's just so much that we have to do to reorganize our life and to be intentional. And I feel like if you deal with this, if we deal with this in the beginning, man, it'll take so much off of our spiraling. You're gonna have some, but it'll take so much and it'll you can actually I feel like you can get there quicker with your healing and all the acceptance and all those things that you have to work through. You'll get there quicker if you just deal with it in the beginning, because sometimes we shove it down. And you shove things down, you be in the middle of the grocery store crying. And you're like, why?
Mhm.
Because you've shoved it down and it's going to come up when it's going to come up. Because I was watching a couple one day, I'll never forget, and they were putting groceries away together. And they were an older couple. And I cried because I was like, that's what I wanted. And I didn't get that. And I was not guarded at that moment. And so it came up because I hadn't dealt with it. So things like that. Things like that. I don't even know if I answered the question, but I went on and on and on.
No, no, you did. You did. You said you focus on composure, clarity, and control, which is
Yes.
so what I'm
Exactly.
hearing is that you're helping mostly with the emotional part during the divorce. You don't
Yeah.
do so much of like the documentation, the legal aspect, like guiding any of that with like
No.
how to choose an attorney or anything like that.
No, no, I do not.
Okay.
No, it's just working through what you have to do in order to move on with your life.
Right.
Um with clarity and control and and learning how to pick up the pieces, and because sometimes we feel broken, but we're really right where we need to be if we
Mhm.
really figure it out. Like, I always think of myself as a bridge right here, and the person's right here, and I'm going to help them get to the next point right here. And so that's what I'm here to do. But yeah, the legal stuff, no, I have different people I send different people to. I'm like,
Okay, and
okay,
that's good. Yeah.
they'll help you with that. They'll help you with that. So it's very clear what I'm here to do,
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you also guide them with as far as like how to select those other experts that could help them?
Yeah, because sometimes it depends on what they're looking for too, especially if they haven't yet filed, because going and choosing a lawyer is a big decision. Because
Yeah.
there's a lot of people doing collaboration law now, and instead of going to trial and things like that, it just depends on the two parties and how they interact with each other. What are they willing to do? Are there children involved? And that's a big thing. I have a person that she does like the mediation with the kids and things like that, the parenting time. That is such a big thing. How do I tell my kids about what's going on? What's age appropriate, And I do talk a little bit about that, but there is someone that is more, educated and I in those things, where it teaches you how to interact with each other for the best of the children, because the big picture is about the children. That's the big picture, you
Right.
know. We are adults and we're going through adult things that these children never asked to be a part of. They didn't ask, the big old thing to be here. So we have to protect them, and realize what's best and what's safe for them. So some things they don't need to know.
Yeah, I agree. And I just recently had a talk with someone who's going through this situation and they were like, okay, we're telling the kids today. And I was like, wow, okay. So my parents got divorced, but it was a great thing for all of us. We were just like, thank goodness these two are calling it quits.
Oh, really?
So it didn't negatively impact me, at least. I mean, my siblings, maybe it's a different story, but I know all of us overall were like, phew, thank goodness. And so there was never like a day where we got sat down and they were like, so kids, we're getting a divorce. You're gonna be okay. It was none of that. It was more like they got into another huge fight. They left, they were like, "He's coming back?" They're like, Probably not." We're like, "Oh, thank goodness," you know? So,
Wow.
yeah, so this person, she had this big day of like, "Okay, we're gonna tell the kids." I'm like, "Oh, I've heard some kids say, I remember when my parents told us, and I'll never forget it. And they said this, and then we would just went on our merry way like nothing had changed, and they were resentful about it." So, I
Wow.
was like, I cannot relate because for us, we were like, all right, moving on, let's live our best
How
life.
old were you?
I was 14. And
Okay.
so, yeah, and maybe it had to do with it. But I know speaking with my siblings, and it's six of us, we were all like, okay, cool. We saw it coming, thank goodness. We just moved on with our lives. Um, so knowing that you're gonna have to do that, you need to go talk to somebody to talk about how you're gonna deal with that. Because she was asking me, well, how did you do it with your kids? I'm like, well, my kids were so much older, and they too kind of like knew,
Yeah.
something was up. So one of
Yeah.
my, yeah, like for me, one of my kids was like, you know what? Like, I always wondered why, like, they're like, why you kind of pretty much settle for less. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh,
So
oh, they know things.
yeah. So yeah, kids see so much. And I mean, she didn't say it in those exact words, but it was pretty much that. And I was like, wow. And I said that. I was like, wow, the fact that you saw that before I did, you know, because one of the things that I've realized we need to learn, and because you said something earlier, is that sometimes our love blinders is what makes us believe that this is like the best person or whatever. But then once you stop looking at the person through those love blinders and you actually see who they are, for me at least, I feel like that's what helps me move past any relationship, whether it's a friendship or a romantic.
Mhm.
Because you said our mind makes up all sorts of things.
It does. Mhm.
My goodness. Yes, I have a whole film production in my head. It's a very good one.
I bet, and
So,
and I talk a lot about the brain too. The brain is here to keep us alive, right?
right.
And so it's here to keep us safe. So sometimes the brain safe is us staying with that person.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's
Change,
crazy that, yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy that we do that. We have done that at some point or another. And um, I know how hard it can be to even accept that, because you're like, no, no, that's not what it is. And it really helps to
Yeah.
have a professional like you break it down and help them see, because I feel like in divorce, it's such an emotionally taxing thing. Even if you know that's not the person for you, that change is so scary and hard.
It is. It's very scary. It's just the unknown. You're grieving for someone that's still on this earth and grieving all the things that you thought you were going to do or have. And even when it went awry, I always tell people this, and I never try to offend anybody though. I know people that have used in the past, they're always looking for that first high, So in a relationship, you're always looking for that first, what, 2 months, 2 years, 5 years, and you've been together 20 years, always trying to get that back. And essentially, you're never going to get it back because of different reasons.
Right.
And so that's what happens in our relationships a lot. And then you kind of rationalize it out until you get used to living in the trauma. And
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
somewhat, your brain is safe there. It's like the unknown is scary. So it's like, no, 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 don't do that. So that's why you have to push past it. And
Right.
that's why it's so important in the beginning when you file those papers. That's when you're trying to push past it because you made that decision finally, some kind of way, but your brain's still going to be like, wait a minute, what are we doing?
Hmm. So,
Yeah.
what are some of the biggest challenges that you see people have when they're working with you?
Not knowing who they are anymore, their
Ooh,
identity.
ooh,
That's the
you
biggest.
know, wow, that's one thing I'm so grateful I didn't experience.
Oh, really? Good.
Yeah, I was like, I knew who I was. I was just, I
I
just had to,
like it.
yeah, my issue was why did I choose to stay with somebody I knew I didn't belong with?
You're questioning yourself.
Yeah, but I was
Did
like,
you not trust your decisions anymore?
No, not at all. And part of it was because of the dynamic of the relationship, like where he always made me question everything. So that part, I hated that I had allowed somebody to do that. And it started in a very, very subtle way. Sometimes it came off as like, oh, I'm just concerned for you. I don't think that you really mean that. Like, and I'm like, huh, what? Oh, okay. Because you're trusting them, like, well, he's supposed to be my protector, my person, whatever. So then you start abandoning, well, I started abandoning my intuition and then be like, well, I think he sees it from the bird's eye view, I guess. And so you're like, you're supposed to trust that person. But at the same time, it was like I knew who I was, that I was like definitely that very deserving of way more. And unfortunately, I see that that's rare, I guess, in most marriages or divorces that I've seen, which
Yeah, because even what you just said, how he kind of slowly broke down that it would seem that you would come out unsure of who you are. So the fact that you didn't, that is miraculous.
yeah,
The
I
fact
think
that you still were
yeah.
intact,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
How
it's
did you
weird
stay
because
intact? How?
I don't know. I just I'm a very logical person, so I would like look at things. But the weird thing is that where I was sure about myself in that way, in other ways I wasn't. Like for example, my parenting, because he was always like mentioning things about my parenting style. And then I would be like, well, wait a minute. I don't know. I think it's right. But I feel like it was correct. And at the end of the day, I was right anyway, but I still doubted. So it's just weird how for some things, no,
Mhm.
no confidence in myself, but then for others, very, very reassured. So
Right,
um
right.
I feel like that helped me not grieve for so long. It was, I guess my healing was pretty quick. And having been in like divorce groups to just to learn from others, I realized how different my experience and how unique it is because so many people, men and women, express how they lose themselves either in motherhood or as a spouse. Like, what? And but I was like, how did that happen? So they look at me like, you're crazy. How did it not happen to you? And sometimes I think maybe I was just a selfish person.
No, no, no. That I wouldn't say that. Some people have a stronger sense of self and they know how to use that as their nuclear, and then they go outside and go to all the things they need to be, but they always are in touch with that. And
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. I wouldn't feel like something's wrong with you. I feel like we need to learn from you, right? Because I know I definitely lost self. It's about what you wrap everything up in, though, because I wrapped everything up in being a wife.
Oh,
So if I wasn't a good wife, I wasn't a good mother, I wasn't a good Christian, I wasn't a good person. I had to be a good wife. And why did I do that? I could tell you some things, but I'm going to go into all that. But that's what I had to learn, why I did that. Why wasn't just who I was enough? Why did I have to be a good wife? That's because I came in with low self-esteem to begin with, which is a whole nother ball of wax. Because when you don't love yourself and you don't understand how you're awesome, what are you going to do? You're not wrapping yourself in love of yourself. So you're going to wrap yourself in that other person, how they love you, and you want to keep them. So you're going to do all those things that it takes to do that. Because you're not caring about keeping yourself or
right.
keeping the level of love for yourself because you don't love yourself. So that's one of the things. It could be many things, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Because one of the things that I notice is a lot of people buy into the for what is it, ever after story, the fairy tale. And then
That's why, oh my gosh, that's why. Let me tell you this real quick. That's why I did a whole event called Happily Ever After Divorce.
oh, I love that. Oh man, I wish I could have attended. Are you gonna have it again virtually? I'm always
I
learning.
should.
Yeah, even when I'm past certain things, I just go back, and it was to your point about something you said earlier, like how did I do that? I think honestly that because I was questioning uh, what I was being told I should have believed, I started doing some research on self-awareness. And I think that probably is what helped me because I
Yeah.
remember reading something that said like the majority of US Americans believe that they're very self-aware, about like 80 some percent or 90% of them, when in reality it's less than like 15%. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't want to be that person that thinks it's self-aware. So I think that might have helped me. Um, and something else you said earlier, that you tied your identity to not just a wife but like a Christian and all these other identities. So I can only imagine that that is even harder to disentangle and to heal, because it's like you have to go and heal every identity that you have, and
Either.
right, and that can be so difficult, and unless you're working with somebody. So how did you do it? Because is this what led you to become a coach? You went to a coach and you saw the value in it, or was it something else?
No. So let me go back to what you said real quick and then I'll go take you there.
Mhm.
Okay. So you just taught something very important that everybody needs to hear, that you did not allow him to isolate your thoughts, but you researched, because that's how we could get into that trouble, just listening to that and letting that person's voice being our voice in our head. So what you did is you like, oh, wait a minute, so you research, you figure out things on your own, and that's important, not to allow one person to be the voice. When you're hearing his or her voice in your head and it's not your own, it's a problem.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's
I
what I want
agree.
people to know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's very important. Good job to you.
Thank you. It was hard.
I know, especially when you think that all that person is all and be all. And I want to say this too. No one knows everything. So we can't let anybody be that. We have to be teachable, and we have to be learning human beings daily anyways.
Mhm.
So if that person is trying to be your authority, there's something wrong.
Right. And I want to share something because I don't want people to be like, oh, then she probably wasn't married that long. No, y'all, I was dumb. I stayed for 24 years married, 25 with this person.
Wow.
And the reason was because I bought into that idea of till death do us part, like you have to give it your absolute all. And the love blinders, knowing very well I wasn't in love, I think I like
Mm.
took it too far, where I'm like, no, I'm keeping my word. And I'm a very like, if I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I'm going to stick with it. I took it too far. I took it to the extreme. So that was a 25-year hard lesson for me to learn. So that was, but I think that that comes from your upbringing, right? Like looking back now, I see why I took it so hard, because I saw broken promises within my parents' relationship. And I was like, oh, I'm not going to be that person. If I tell my person something, I'm going to keep my word and I'm going to give it my all. And then next thing I do, it's like, wait a minute, I'm the one who's been given 100% the whole time or most of the time. Okay, time to check out. So
Yes.
yeah, just
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that you clarified that. And I want to say, giving it your all could have been within 5 years.
yeah.
And we need to learn that too, because I know you make vows between you and him and God, and we know that. We know that. But within that, there's still some things like this is a misconception too. And I dealt with this recently, that I am such an advocate of divorce,
Oh
advocator
yeah.
of it.
Hmm.
I am not. Let me tell you
Right.
something. I love the sanctity of marriage. I love the companionship. I love it. And the reason why I'm here is because there's things with inside of it where you say, I can't do it anymore. It's certain things that people do that you cannot stand for. It is a non-negotiable. Do I want that to be? No, I wish everybody could be happily married and I'm not needed and no divorces, but it's just a what life, it's just life.
Right.
So I always want to make that clear. Like, okay, I never think people should stay inside and getting abused physically or mentally,
Right.
those kind of things and whatever else they want to put in that. But that's where I'm at with that. And so I do not take the words lightly, my vows that I made. I didn't take those lightly. And that's why I stayed too. And I know we talk about the people that be like, oh, they be thinking like the next day or two, I can always leave this. I can always annul this, there's people out there like that.
Oh, yeah.
And it is what it is because they don't want to stay at one moment unhappy. But the majority of us, are like us. We're trying. We're trying. We've done all we can do. And that's it. Because it has to be two people doing all they can do. And most of the time it isn't. It's just one person
Right.
doing all that we can do, and the other person's taking advantage of that.
Mhm. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that part of the healing process also can be like understanding that maybe that person just did the best that they could while carrying old baggage and
Beautiful.
wounds in
Beautiful.
there. Some of them are so blind or in such denial that they really truly believe that they've either healed from past wounds or that they just don't exist. You can clearly see it, and it can be really frustrating, but they can't. And so, because I think about that all the time. I was like, man, 24 years married, 25 with this guy. How much of what happened and what he did or did not do was deliberate? And how much of it was just because he just didn't have the capacity, which is so different than intention, right? So,
Yes. And oh my gosh. And you hit on it. And that's the biggest thing when I talk about forgiveness. That's a path to forgiveness, what you're talking about right there. Because I remember my ex-husband saying, "But I did love you. I do love you." And I said, "Not what I need, not the kind of love I need, not what I need. You can do that all day long, but that
mhm,
wasn't the capacity that I needed,
yeah,
you know? And that was the capacity that he had."
right. And this is where I feel like women definitely need to go talk to a coach like you, because when it I've heard that before where one of them will say exactly what you just said, right? Like, that's just not how I wanted to be loved or needed to be loved. And then they're like, oh, something's wrong with me because I can't love this person the way that they need to be loved. I'm like, no, 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 no. Just like, you know what? Like, vanilla ice cream makes me so happy, and I know that chocolate ice cream makes other people happy. To each their own. There's nothing wrong with chocolate ice cream. It's just not my thing. And it's okay. I don't walk around feeling guilty because I don't like chocolate ice cream. So why should we feel guilty because we were not the ones who were loving that person the way they wanted to be loved? And that can be
Yeah.
really, really hard to accept. In my situation, it was me like upset because, look, why can't you just love me the way I want to be loved? I was like, I don't get it. It's so easy. So easy. I'm not asking for
Right.
much. So like,
Right. Right.
the resentment because of like, I can't believe you. Like, you should be able to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a lot of layers to peel back with that. And I remember I had one client, and if she was honest with herself, now this is hard. She was honest with herself. She knew during the engagement.
Oh my gosh. I knew the night before my wedding. I think we both did.
You
Yeah.
did too.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. We
But we
talk
were,
ourselves into things.
yeah,
We
we
make
really
things
do.
bigger than what they are.
Yeah.
It depends on where we are in life. If we tell ourselves, I need to be married, we're going to make it happen.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
need to be loved. We're going to make it happen.
Hmm.
All these things. And we're going to say, oh, I'm loved. Oh, I'm married. But are you? But we We talk ourselves into a lot of stuff.
because like there's like I know in my situation, like this must be cold feet. No, it was my intuition yelling at me and him too, by
Wow.
the way. Because we
Yes.
we both sat down the night before. We're like, we shouldn't go through with this. And I was like, no,
Uh,
no, I think we're just scared. I think we're just, and also families were having tensions. So we're like, I think it's that, those external factors, when really it's, man, were just not meant to be.
Wow.
But also,
25 years later.
yeah, but also we were young. I was 20. What the heck
Of
does a
course, you look
20-year-old
very young.
know? Yeah. That too, that's something I tell my kids. They're 18 and 19. I'm like, do not get married early. Do not
Yeah.
move in with a guy real quick or this young because you still don't know who you are. And also for me, like I wish I would have had a coach like you to teach me what discernment really meant, what you like what was, like the difference between, being committed and taking it to the extreme or knowing what gaslighting can look like. And that term back then wasn't even a term that people used. So I often think about right now, what terms do we not know of that are going to be used in the future, but we see the behaviors. So had I had an expert coach talk to me, I do think it would have made a difference. I think that we both probably would have sat down with that person and been like, yeah, we shouldn't do this. We
Yeah.
shouldn't do this. Like, or it's just so much of self-discovery that was needed. And just like even now after divorce, I'm like, man, I hope whoever I date is or that I make the right choice, because there's still that lingering doubt of, well, I'm really messed up for 20 some years. What if I do it again?
Right, right. Trusting yourself.
Yeah.
Trusting you. And the only way you can trust yourself is keep making the right decisions. And then when you feel like you made the wrong one, do self-correct and get back up there. Because the best thing is controlling your own life though.
Yeah.
That's the best thing. And just like you build trust up with other people, you
Mhm.
gotta build trust up with yourself.
But I mean, now I know better. I know that I can come to you because you're like,
Yes.
I'm being serious, because you are an expert and you will see things clearly, because going to family, that can be not very helpful. That can be, and even though they have the best intentions, but
Mhm.
the other mistake I made was that I didn't go to anybody. I just dealt with everything on my own, just because I'm like, the saying, what goes on in the house stays in the house. Don't be spreading your business out there. That was
Yes.
so wrong. It could have helped me if I would have spoken to some people that had their, not the ones that tell you to go slash tires, but the ones that are like, you know, it's like, okay, let's think about this. The mature people.
Yes, the mature people. Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
I did want to touch on something really quick because this is something I dealt with really recent. And I want people out there to think about this. Okay. I want them to keep this in their heads, their intentions for love. Okay. Are they loving in order to give, or are they giving love in order to love?
Mm.
And I just want them to think about that statement and do some self-correcting if they're a little off with that.
Repeat that again, please.
Are you are you loving in order to get something, or are you loving with the intention to love?
Yeah. So different.
It's so different. It's
Yeah.
so different.
I think some people don't realize that they're loving in order to, receive to, they're kind of trying to buy it.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted people because it's been a thought in my head for a moment because I'm coming across that with different people.
Hmm.
So I just want us to be intentional because as I'm doing my strategic decision advising, I'm thinking everything strategic. So that's the first thing I try to figure out. Like, what was the source? What was your source of your love? Are you really aligned with it? What's going on? So
Yeah.
yeah,
What are some of the things that people need to commit to when working with you?
I have to commit to homework.
I like homework. I'm that nerd. I mean, I feel like homework is what gives me those baby steps that I need to achieve that will get me to the goal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I said homework first, but that's not the first thing. But I
Mhm.
always say that because it seems like people are not like you.
Mhm.
They don't like, they
You
come
know?
back and they haven't done anything. Like, in order
Uh-huh.
to move forward, you got to do this because at the end, you're going to have this whole, you have to have this whole blueprint at the end. So if you don't have anything, but anyway, so I want them to come honest.
Mhm.
Honest. The very first thing we do in my discovery call is we build a rapport and we know, are you for me? Are you for me? Am I for you? Am I for you? So if we're building a rapport and we have that trust, and I know right away if I'm going to have that with that person. And I have, most of the time I can help pretty much anybody, but there has been times I'm saying, I don't think I'm for you.
Mhm.
And I'm just gonna be honest, because of these things. But yeah, building some rapport and trust and then having honest, because I am a safe space. And you got to know that I'm a safe space because if you're hiding things, leaving things out, I can't really help you. I
Mhm.
can't. So safe space, open and honest, willing to work and do the homework. Um, those are the really big things, and that really goes a long way because don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about anything else because I'm here to help you with that. I'm here to help you. I'm a pretty good listener, you
Mhm.
know. I'm a pretty good advisor. I can advise you, but we're not always going to agree with everything. And sometimes I talk people through where they can see the other side and they didn't even know the other side because I already seen it.
Right. Right.
And it's just is because I think a misconception is that everybody's going through something different. No, we're all going through the same things in different ways.
Mhm.
And so once I can sense what you're going through, it may be different way to help you and to get there, but don't feel isolated like no one's been through this.
True.
We all have been through it in different ways though. And so once I figured out, I'm like, aha, that's it right there. Like I'm like, aha, she doesn't love herself. Aha, she doesn't trust her thoughts. Aha, she doesn't know who she is, aha, this and that. Once I have that aha moment, then I say, oh, that's what we need to focus on. And then we talk about the triggers. And usually the triggers are what you're dealing with, like what you're insecure about underneath that. But anyway, so yeah, so it's a process, but I don't want people to go and figure and think they have to have everything like figured out what they want help with because that's what I'm here for. And once we agree upon that and we strategize and I had a lady one time. She's like, "Oh my gosh, it worked." I'm like, "What worked? Like what we discussed and then it came up and then I threw out what we were supposed to do and it worked." I'm like, "Yeah, it's supposed to work." Sometimes it doesn't always though. It doesn't always. Sometimes we got to retool it and say, "Oh, like, oh no, that was too hot. I couldn't do this. I had to say this. I had to say that." And I always tell people, choose your battles. Choose your battles, especially when you have kids involved, because some things, with the parenting time and things like that, given all these demands, choose your battles. We're
Yeah.
not going to get everything we want. You think we got everything we wanted when we were with that person? When
Mhm.
we're not with that person, we're definitely not going to get everything we want. Let's be
That
realistic.
that's so
I'm going
true.
off on a tangent. Anyway.
That's so true. No, I'm glad you said that because I think that people forget about that. They're like, what makes you think that you're going to get more when, when you were together, it was hard to get what you were asking for. And
Yeah.
maybe it's because they think like, okay, so it's this legal thing and they have to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, no, not necessarily. Mine was that too for me, the actual process was so eye-opening because
Oh,
this person changed again to somebody I never expected to be and shocked both sides of the family and the
oh,
kids. So we were like, wow, yeah, really, and people don't like to hear that, but it can happen. Not everybody. Some people are
yeah.
very lucky where everything's, not a surprise. But Nicole, so when working with people and you said commitment, right? They have to commit to homework. And you said your program is how many
12
weeks?
weeks.
12
12
weeks.
weeks. Yes.
And is there a reason why it's 12 weeks?
Yes, because I do 4 different phases. So it's a month each phase.
Hmm.
Um, And like I said, it's not to say that you're going to go away and be like, okay, I've discussed, I've done everything, but it has to give them time to go away and practice what we preached, what we discussed, what we collaborated. And then if they want to come back, we can do some other work. But it can't be so long where I'm a crutch.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't be so short where we don't address the problems either. So I thought that that was a nice, I had 10 weeks and I did 11. Now I'm at 12 because I wanted to give equal time to equal thing. So it's just basically a calendar thing. And I think so far, I think 12 weeks have worked. But yeah,
Good. So then have you had situations where people want more than the 12 weeks? Okay.
I've had a client for
And
2
so,
years before.
wow,
I
2
know.
years.
I
I
should
mean,
never say that
it
out
takes,
loud.
yeah, it takes what it takes. It takes what it
Well, I don't listen, people that are listening.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily want that. This is what I want. This is what I want. I want the women to be empowered. Okay. I want them to get out there and be able to do it, gain back control. I don't want to no. I mean, like I said, a crutch. I don't want to be a crutch. I don't
Yeah.
want to be an enabler. I don't want them to have to come and talk to me like I'm their girlfriend. They need to tell me everything that happened and all this this is not what this is for.
Mhm.
We do have times when you need to vent. I will listen, but we have to strategize and get it together and say, this is what's gonna work.
Right.
So yeah, I have
Okay.
had people come back to answer that
Yeah.
question. And it's fine if they need to come back for a little bit. It's
Mhm.
fine. And like go in and out like that. But a constant 2 year, that's a bit much.
Right. And so then when you're working with people, are they simultaneously working, say, with a therapist while working with you too?
Yes, I've had quite a few people that had a therapist and I had people that didn't either. And sometimes they want to treat me as if though, but I'm not. Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. But I've had someone say, oh, you helped me more than my therapist. I'm like, I don't know if that's good or bad, but wherever you're going to get the help, you know. But yeah, I don't do like talk therapy and all that or all that kind of stuff. What we do is we're really structured.
Mhm.
Like I said, I do provide time to vent and to figure out what the issues are, but we're really structured. I do grounding. I ground them and we go through different things. Every time you see me is similar but different. So there's different things you got to do to get you in the place to work with me in the beginning. But after that, it depends on what we're working on that day. But it's very structured. I want to just say that it's not something like woo woo, like this and that. We're gonna do this and that. No, I know what we're gonna do when we start the situation, when we start working together. I know what the issues are and where we're gonna be 8 weeks from there. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, if it all works, everything can go, sideways.
Yeah.
But pretty much, if we decide this is what we're gonna work on, that's what we work on. And that has happened too. I meant to mention that, like someone may come and they need a certain thing to work through at that time.
Mhm.
And then later on, they need to work through something else that they didn't even know
Yeah.
because you can't do everything at once.
Mhm. What about dating? Because let me tell you, I was like, I am not gonna get on those apps because I am not like an item to be bought.
Oh,
Like,
I've
I
been
don't
on the
like.
app. I know I've been on the apps. I'm not currently, but I've been
Yeah.
on the apps, so I know how hard.
Well, I just one of my sisters, she's been on them on and off, and and so I was looking up salsa dancing nights because I heard that they have these date nights so that you can come and have a class and meet up with other singles and do like swap partners. I'm like, okay, that sounds really fun, girl. How about I looked it up just recently and I was asking my friend Shell in London. I was like, hey, y'all go with me? They're like, yeah, sure, we're down. I was like, tell us what time and whatever. I look at the schedule and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna die single because it starts at 9 p.m. And I'm like,
Be the old lady.
I was like, no. Look, I'm a very young 47, but I want to be home by 9.
Funny. So that stopped you right away, did
Yes.
it? Oh,
I'm like, nope,
wow.
I'm out. Because it's like 45 minutes a session. I'm like, 45 minutes, meaning I might be home by midnight.
I thought you were going to say, I win. There was too many women and no men. I thought you were going to go there because that happens a lot. But oh
Really?
my God. Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Women
yeah,
are willing.
Nicole,
Yeah.
Nicole, I'm gonna be single. I'm okay. I'm like, can't they have classes that start like at 5 or 6 p.m.?
So funny.
Yeah. Oh yeah, this is gonna be rough.
Yeah, but I'm all about if a woman wants to find someone else, I'm all about that. I feel like once they get it together, that we should, hey, yeah, definitely. I feel like I feel honored after my services when they say I'm ready to date again. I feel honored because I think if you are wanting to be with someone, that means you're in a very healthy place. If you feel like you can trust someone, number one, because trust is destroyed usually, to the opposite sex or whatever. So the fact that you can feel like that after you work with me, I feel magical about it. And at the end, if we want to put that in our blueprint, how are we going to date and how we're going to go forward, I would love that. Not a lot of people want to do that though, to be honest.
Mhm,
But if you were, hey, I love it though, because I don't like to be alone personally. I'm gonna be quite honest.
mhm.
That is my Achilles heel. I don't know what to call it. It's just if I had a downfall, I would say that's it.
Oh,
I
okay.
would
Yeah.
say that's it. That I like to be with a person. I love companionship. I love all the things that go along with a relationship. So I totally get it. But I find that most people are not like me though.
Yeah.
I find that most people are okay being alone. Most women,
I've
we're
noticed.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you seem like that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Look, all I need is some comedy on YouTube and a few friends. We don't have to meet up in person. We can just FaceTime and be on the phone.
Wow.
But I think that's because I work from home and like I've been working from home since before COVID.
Wow.
So I think I'm just okay being in my little bubble here in my home,
Gotcha.
which is probably why I'm gonna end up single forever because 9 o'clock is too late for me.
But you know what? If it's not a need, it's not a
Yeah.
need. I don't know though. I don't know if
Yeah.
you all women are lying to yourself. No.
I mean, I only assume the right person will make me change that. I'll be like, oh, 9 p.m. Yeah, I'll meet you there. You know,
As
for the right
long
one.
as you're open to it though. All I ask
Right.
is for you to be open to whatever comes. Because sometimes we can miss out if we're not open, I guess, right? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, but that's cool though. I find a lot of women like you though. That's why I said they don't even put it in their blueprint. They're like, I'm good. I'm good. I got out of that situation alive. I'm good. Like, yeah. But I'm very happy when they say, "Oh, I'm ready to date." I'm very happy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that might be just, I feel like I'm ready because I told my friend, he keeps telling me like, you gotta get out there. You gotta get out, it's time. And I'm like, give me till June. June
It's you
2026.
know what? It's all in your time
Yeah.
though. It
Hmm.
is all in your time. When you're ready because you'll bring that energy you need. You
Right.
don't
Because I
want
want to
to
make sure.
attract that energy that's not for you.
Right. Yeah.
Because a lot of people be like, and that's what I did learn through my separation too. When I sat and said, "Oh, he's controlling, he's controlling, he's controlling," then I thought about it. I got low self esteem. I got low self esteem, and that's why I like attracted that because I felt like I needed someone to run my life, and
Hmm.
I attracted someone to run my life, and that's what happened.
Hmm.
I got to watch out what's in me because
Yeah.
I'm going to attract it, my needs.
Yeah.
So in order not to attract this man that's going to take over my life and run it, and maybe I got to run my own life. Maybe I got to get some
Right.
confidence, get some love, self-love, So I always think about what I have to do for myself to be what I need to be so I can attract something better. And that's my biggest thing with saying like, okay, maybe hold off with dating and things like that because of that reason. Other than that, I'm like, let's get out there. Like so that's the only thing I would say. But I have fell in the trap of dating too soon. So
Mm.
I know that. I know that. So I can tell you stories later. So yeah.
Mhm. Oh, Nicole, I'm so glad that you're helping so many people and you work with men and women, right? Or just women?
Just women now. I was helping men, but yeah, just women now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all right. I mean, yeah, we know what we can work with or who we can work with. Just like me, I do not work with children when it comes to my bullying prevention stuff because I am the boring, I will kill those kids to death with my boring self. So that's why I work with the adults. Because
Gotcha.
yeah,
Know who you're for.
exactly, exactly. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for sharing so much about your work. I love it. I'm so glad that you're out there uh, trying to help women heal and see that there is hope and that that they can get past it because I know that for so many divorce is such an impactful thing that they think they can never get past that because therapists are also not always the right fit for people. Sometimes you do need a coach and do the homework.
Thank you for
Yeah.
saying that.
You're welcome. Yeah. No, I'm a believer in homework. I mean, that's one of the things with any therapist I work with. I'm like, you got to give me homework. Otherwise, I will not grow. I will not do anything. It'll be just a conversation, and I can just go and have a conversation with any of my friends.
You're my dream client.
Oh, my
Thank you.
thank you.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
You just talk to a girlfriend. Exactly.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. You're
So
gonna get
Nicole,
your best out of doing that. Your best. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So Nicole, where can people reach out to you?
So go to NicoleBright.com to find out more about me. So my strategy, everything's on my website, and they can actually fill out the form and contact me. They can go to NicoleBright.advisor@gmail too and email me directly. I'm old school. So those two things are the biggest thing. Of course, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, of course, but those two things are the really way I love people to reach out. You can email me directly, or you can go to my website and fill out the information. They'll send them to me too.
Yeah.
So,
And I just want to chime in that your Instagram account is so valuable. I love the messages that you post on there. So if people want
oh,
to kind of get a feel
thanks.
of your style, if they haven't gotten the idea from this conversation, check out Nicole's Instagram account. She's got a lot of wonderful tips and you
Oh,
can see her
thank you.
personality shine through and all that. Yeah, you're welcome, Nicole. I just love what you do and I love your vibe. So,
Oh, I love you too. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share with your audience.
of course, absolutely. Hey, did you like that episode? I have an ask. Would you mind leaving me a review? It would really help me improve this podcast so that you can come back and keep listening. Also, don't forget to check me out at DaliTalks.com and follow me on social media at DaliTalks. Until next time.